So what you're saying is much more sinister even than we've suggested on this show, than Tom Cotton, that almost anyone suggested. You're saying that the Chinese government manufactured this virus, if I'm hearing you correctly. That's what you're saying?
Yes, exactly. Based on the virus genome, it's basically like our fingerprint. So you can see the very unusual characters in their genome, which clearly, based on the other evidence they left during the modification, we can say finally this is exactly the one come from their own special bad coronavirus and then target human.
When this country was fully caught in the hysteria over COVID-19 and the potential re-election of Donald Trump, I posted a video addressed to the source of the novel coronavirus. Based upon scientific research of Dr. Li Meng Yan, as well as my skepticism of all claims of all governments, I was and remain firmly of the opinion that the novel coronavirus had been created in a lab in China. Google did not delete my video, but it did put a warning label on it. Dr. Yan was treated much more brutally. The tech companies wiped out all of her accounts in their unconstitutional suppression of her freedom of speech. This was the application of a principle of propaganda, which is to drown out all dissent. Think back just a few months. The media corporations worked in concert in propagating the story that COVID-19 originated in bats.
Bats have passed around coronaviruses for thousands of years. Because they're mammals, humans are susceptible to the pathogens they incubate. But it's still not confirmed which bat species it originated with and where, though that may be of questionable value to epidemiologists.
There was an onslaught of scientists speaking authoritatively that bats caused the global pandemic.
Dr. Anderson took me to another part of the facility to show me where the virus came from. Bats gathered in China for food. A vet here captured one, and in a containment cage, she showed it to me.
And why bats? How confident are you that the coronavirus came from bats?
So I'm probably 90% confident that the new coronavirus came from bats.
The lady in China who heads the research of bat viruses herself declared that COVID-19 could not have been created in a lab.
Even she was initially concerned that her lab could have caused the outbreak. But since then, she says she's ruled out the possibility. She, her team, and the Chinese government have adamantly denied that it could have come from this lab.
There's no way this virus came from us.
China's been incredibly open, and I believe it's because it's a scientific collaboration. And in China, they're really proud of their science. They do good work.
Our own most trusted experts assured us that the evidence was irrefutable that COVID-19 arose from a natural source.
Hi, I'm Robin Patel. I'm the immediate past president of the American Society for Microbiology and the Elizabeth P. and Robert E. Allen Professor of Individualized Medicine, Professor of Microbiology, and Professor of Medicine at the Mayo Clinic. There's irrefutable evidence that SARS-CoV-2 came from a natural source. Coronaviruses are common in humans and animals. They cause cross-species infections by jumping from one host to another, and that's what happened with SARS-CoV-2.
All of this was obvious bullshit.
My question is, have you seen anything at this point that gives you a high degree of confidence that the Wuhan Institute of Virology was the origin of this virus?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. And I think that the World Health Organization should be ashamed of themselves, because they're like the public relations agency for China. And this country pays them almost $500 million a year, and China pays them $38 million a year. And whether it's a lot or more, it doesn't matter. It's still, they shouldn't be making excuses when people make horrible mistakes, especially mistakes that are causing hundreds of thousands of people around the world to die.
But now, the truth finally seems to be breaking through the fog of lies. Of course, hard-headed people who bought into the lies won't be able to hear the truth. It is the fact that it's easier to fool people than to convince them that they have been fooled. However, the rest of us can at least hope that the history books will be accurate.
will you in front of this group categorically say that the COVID-19 could not have occurred through serial passage in a laboratory?
I do not have any accounting of what the Chinese may have done, and I'm fully in favor of any further investigation of what went on in China.
All of this begs the question, so what? In 1881, Oliver Wendell Holmes published a treatise on the general law. Among the legal topics he addresses is the theory of retribution for crimes. This is concerned with the fitness of punishment. In his view, our desire to make criminals pay for their crimes is a matter of vengeance, and that vengeance is an element of punishment. This question has been debated by philosophers for eons. As a matter of common sense or folk wisdom, we believe that people should get what they deserve, and that just deserts is the way to maintain an equilibrium between the benefits and the harms in a society. This is forward-looking in the sense that it answers the question, why is anyone punished? That is, the institution of punishment exists as a threat to incentivize people to obey the law. This is also backward-looking in the sense that it answers the questions, why and in what manner is a particular person punished? That is, assuming that punishment exists as an institution with rules and enforcement offices, then punishment is justified by the application of the rules by officers for the sake of redress of violations. China is a signatory to the Convention on the Prohibition of the Development, Production, and Stockpiling of Biological Weapons. Under this treaty, most nations in the world have agreed that it is better for the good of mankind to eliminate the possibility of biological agents being used as weapons. Further, it has been agreed that the use of such agents and toxins as weapons is repugnant to the conscience of mankind. Unfortunately, it appears that this treaty is almost meaningless. On the one hand, while Article 1 provides that no signatory will develop, produce, stockpile, or otherwise acquire or retain any biological agents or toxins, it has a loophole big enough for Anthony Fauci to drive a truck through. The loophole is that such research can be justified if it is for protective or other peaceful purposes. Thus, if you listen closely to the rationale for the research in Wuhan, you can hear them arguing that the purpose of the research is to find ways to protect people from natural coronaviruses. On the other hand, there is no real downside to violating the treaty. Article 6 provides that if one of the signatories learns that another signatory has violated the treaty, that signatory may lodge a complaint with the UN. But that's the end of it. There is no enforcement mechanism and there are no provisions for any penalties. A complaint will lead to nothing. My sense is that this COVID-19 business is organized crime and that it ought to be treated as such. The problem being, how do you get the people who don't get their hands dirty?
Well, when the boss says push a button on a guy, I push a button. See, Senator?
Did you ever get such an order directly from Michael Corleone?
No, I never talked to him.
Was there always a buffer involved? There's someone in between you and your possible superiors who gave the actual order.
Right, yeah, a buffer. The family had a lot of buffers.
In 1970, the Congress enacted the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organization Statute. Subpart A of Section 1962 of Title 18 of the United States Code makes it illegal to use money derived from racketeering to acquire or operate any enterprise which affects interstate commerce. Subpart D makes conspiracy in aid of racketeering illegal as well. Subpart 1A of Section 1961 defines racketeering. It contains all of the stuff you'd expect from mob movies: murder, kidnapping, gambling, arson, and so on. Subpart 1B, however, is an extensive list of other crimes which can be prosecuted under the RICO statute. This includes Sections 175 to 178 of Title 18. These statutes relate to biological weapons. Section 175 makes it a crime to develop, produce, stockpile, transfer, acquire, retain, or possess any biological agent or toxin, or to assist a foreign state to do so, or conspire to do the same. The punishment for a violation of this law is life in prison. Subpart A of Section 1963 specifies the criminal punishment for a RICO violation. It is 20 years in prison unless the underlying crime carries a life sentence. In this circumstance, the punishment is life or both life and 20 years. I hate to be so cynical, but my sense is that the people who control the United States government are in on this scheme with the Chinese lab. As a result, the chances of a RICO prosecution are pretty slim. However, Section 1964 of Title 18 authorizes civil lawsuits by people injured by RICO violations. This section provides that a person who has been injured by a RICO violation may sue everyone, including all of the conspirators, who is responsible for the injury, and may recover triple damages from the defendants. If it were up to me, this would be the time to get medieval. If the corporations want medieval, that's what we should give them.
And I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger those who attempt to poison and destroy my brothers. And you will know my name is the Lord when I lay my vengeance upon thee.
But that wouldn't be legal. Even if others do not respect the law, we must, so that we can respect ourselves. If we do not abide the Constitution, then America ceases to exist. It is very difficult to bring a foreign national or a foreign government into an American court. However, it's obvious to me that there are many conspirators in the COVID-19 crimes, and the law is clear that they can be sued for everything they have. In conclusion, it is important to balance the books on the COVID-19 crimes. We cannot get back what the evildoers have taken, from the destruction of the economy to the cost of the injections, and the unknown consequences thereof. But they have to know that there is, and will be, law.